For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble, and everybody's complaining about the cost of everything going up, but are the fees getting a little outrageous, though? Like, the heavy item surcharge when you order groceries or a big bag of dog food, why does that have to cost me $3 more on my order? I don't understand that. So we're going to be talking about just the cost of being a customer nowadays. The privilege of being a customer for somebody. That's going up. Why? Does it have to be? And also, as you get older, are your routines taking longer? Are you having to do more stuff? You got to moisturize the face cream. Because when you were 20 years old, you could just come in after a night of partying and crash without even brushing your teeth. Is that the case as you get older? Probably not. It's coming up on The Scribble, and it starts right after this.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secret to losing 3 to 5 pounds a week without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt RX. For the last 2 decades, we've helped countless people lose thousands of pounds. And now, it's your turn. Learn how to lose weight with one simple phone call and no prescription needed. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a risk-free money-back guarantee. So, if you're ready to start losing weight, call right now and get a free month supply with your first order of Body Sculpt RX. Call now. You have nothing to lose but the pounds. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. 800-459-6838. That's 800-459-6838.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Obviously, inflation is a big topic, right? The cost of everything is going up. And something that I've noticed is that there are fees, though, for everything. And as much as a company can go and say, well, inflation, we've got to up our prices, the service fees, though, that doesn't jive with me. So I'll give you an example here. When you order food, right? If you want, like it was Uber Eats, I saw that if I wanted it express, expedited, or whatever the word was, that I can pay an extra, $3 or $4 for it to arrive 5 or 10 minutes earlier than a regular order, quote unquote regular order. That's a money grab. Because it's like, why wouldn't you want to offer all of your customers a speedy service, speedy delivery? Why do I have to pay you to work harder or faster for me? That doesn't make sense to me. A customer is a customer is a customer. So why are you trying to get another $4 out of me when you already have service fees? You've got a delivery fee. You've got this fee. Uber is not short on money. Let's be honest. Come on, we know that. And so I always just feel like things like that are greedy. Why do I have to pay? Or same thing, Vistaprint. We had t-shirts made. And with Vistaprint, you have, your regular shipping, which was, however, like 10 days or something. And then you could have expedited, which is 7 days. And it wasn't so much the delivery, it wasn't the shipping, the freight, it wasn't the shipping time. It was just that we'll get to your order quicker. We'll do your order fast. Well, if you have the capacity to do it faster, why am I being put at the front of the line just because I paid you more? Maybe you should just have quicker service all around for everybody on everything. And that's where I just take issue with that, where it's like, okay, you have a fee for this. There was even one, was it, we use a different one now for ordering our dog food and stuff, but it was, Instacart was the one that I'm thinking of. And they had, when we would order dog food, it was like a heavy order fee. And it eventually went away, but there was something where, yeah, you had like a $3 or $4 fee because like items were heavier. And I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. Because it's always interesting when these services, these apps or whatever, come out in your neighborhood or in your area, that they have the low fees or they have no fees to begin with, because that's enticing to people, right? It's same thing like with Skip the Dishes, if you've heard of that, depending on where you live and where you're listening from. Skip the Dishes is a food delivery app that started in my home city of Winnipeg. And at the very beginning, they had no service fees. There was a delivery fee for certain restaurants, but there was no service fees. It's not like you were being charged to be their customer. That's the thing, right? You're paying for the privilege of being their customer. Yeah, screw that. I'm not having that. And then all of a sudden, just earlier this year or some time, all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's just this little note that it's like, oh, by the way, now we're charging service fees. No, their claim to fame, once, Uber Eats and all the other ones came around in the neighborhood, DoorDash, Postmates, what have you, was that Skip the Dishes were the only one without the service fee. Dine with us, order your food, order with us. We have no delivery or no service fee. And then all of a sudden they go and tack it on too. And again, I realize that the cost of business, has gone up, with technology or whatever it might be. But that's on you to recoup that. That's on you to kind of figure out how, but don't pass that. It makes sense with, like in retail stores, they always go and say, well, theft ends up making the prices go up or whatever because we've got to. I get that. But, and I realize the technology is expensive or whatever it is, but find a way but don't ding the customers. Don't charge me $3 as a heavy lifting fee. Then get somebody who's strong enough to do it. Why am I'm going to pay you $4 to get it here 10 minutes sooner. I'm going to pay you $4 because it's a heavy bag of dog food. But I thought the requirement of them working for you was that they're able to lift a certain amount of weight. So wait a second here now. Then why? Right? And who's weighing this? Like it just seemed like an unnecessary fee. Like I said, it ended up disappearing. It was only there for a little while, but long enough for me to go and say, not doing it anymore. Not doing it. And then, then you've got a tip on top of it. Then there's the tax. You pay tax on the service fee. You pay tax on the delivery fee. You pay, and by the end of it, your order that should be $30 is now $45. You could then, I see both sides of the argument here. That's where you can go and say, but you're also paying for the convenience of, ordering from home or shopping from home. Yeah, that's fine. But if you're looking at, the markup on thing, why? Explain to me. And there was, by the way, with that heavy lifting fee or whatever it was called, there was like an information box that you could sort of press and see. And it just says like, oh, well, we need to make sure that our safety and whatever. What the fuck does that mean? They're just going to the pet aisle and grabbing there's no special treatment of this order. There's nothing happening. You're not getting somebody wearing, a weightlifting belt to come and get a bag of dog food, and then carrying it out to their car. If you can't do it, then don't be a shopper for this app. I'm sorry. Don't do it then. And it rubbed me the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't like it. And just on the subject of fees and things like that, tipping. I mean, I don't know when was the last time I went on a rant about tipping? I was out for dinner with a couple of folks the other day, and the server at the restaurant was less than attentive, I guess would be the way to describe. I'm going to say that politely. We sat there for a while. We went into a lounge of a restaurant. We sat ourselves, which we were supposed to, and we sat there for quite a while. She didn't come and even say her name or who she was. We sat there for quite a while. And then ended up just walking by. Oh, I'll be right with you. Well, we've already been here for like 5 minutes and you haven't even, And then she comes over. Do you know what you want? She didn't even, and I should say, by the way, that the person, one of my fellow diners actually worked for the corporate office of the restaurant chain, and she was going to follow up the next day, which I don't know that I ever heard back about that. But anyway, so she, we have the menus. Do you know what you want? And so we said, yeah. And then I had to ask, do you have any drink specials tonight? She didn't go on and say anything. And again, we were in the lounge. It wasn't super busy, so it's not like she was juggling dozens of customers at the same time. And so that was fine. She took the order. We're all talking. Our drinks came quickly. But again, we were in the lounge, and we were literally, 10 feet from the bar. And so, we get the drinks brought to us, and then she brings the food. And at one point, I even said to somebody sitting across from me, and I said, why am I, trying to melt the ice to have more water here? Is she not... usually that's the first... Usually they're coming and circling and going, and you still have a quarter of your drink left. And they're like, did you want another? Can I get you another? Can I get you another? How's it? This was like, I'm dry here. I'm starting to now eat the ice because I don't even have any water. My drink is empty. And so our dining experience ended up being about 2 or 3 hours. And we get the bill, and my bill was 50 something. And I was handed the machine to, enter in my information. And the default tip was $8 and something cents. And I just kind of thought, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not. Even if it was, because you always read the comments on these stories when tipping is in the news, and I go to the comment section on the news site, and people will go and say, well, I'll do it if the service was great. Why am I having to reward you for doing your fucking job? I'm not your employer. So why do I have to go and say, that was really good. Thank you for walking my plate to me, taking away the plate when it was empty, bringing me more water. So I'm going to give you $8. No, I'm not. And again, even if you were friendly and super bubbly and said, no, I'm not paying you $8 to do your job. So I ended up going down to $2. Now, like I said, she wasn't very attentive. So the service wasn't that. So it's not even a matter of tipping being the issue. It was just a matter of you're supposed to be watching that I need more or take it away, just something, and you're not even doing that. So I think I did $2, and one of my diners across from me said that she ended up doing $3 or something. And so but that's another thing though, is why am I having to? It's the more money I pony up, the better service I'm getting, the better I'm treated as a customer. Why do I have to pay you? No, a customer is a customer is a customer. We are all treated nicely and with respect. And so with these delivery things, you should offer that service to everybody. That's going to make us come back more. But I'm not going to. Why would I pay? And I'd be interested to know. We should reach out to Uber, media relations, just say, if you could give us a percentage of all of your customers, how many of them are going for that priority delivery? And Bonnie, I want to check this for sure. She's not listening. Bonnie. We used to have them in the room with me, but now they're across the way. Can you get my phone? I want to look up Uber on my phone. Okay. Yeah, just my desk, my phone. Okay, so, but I don't understand the tipping thing. Why I'm having to pay your employees to do the job, and then why am I having to pay just to get the same service but 5-10 minutes quicker? That doesn't work for me. I don't know. I remember a day back when, this is again before apps and ordering online and whatever, where you can order pizza from the pizza place down the street or whatever, and you didn't have a delivery fee. You just didn't. It was just, that was part of, and you'd tip the guy or whatever that would, bring it to you, or the person who would bring it to you. And that was it. There wasn't the $4 delivery fee or the service fee and the, whatever. It was just, that's what I'm paying. And if I happen to tip him because it was good and, but even then, even as a kid, I never really understood, why am I having to give money? Why am I having to pay the guy for bringing it when that is his job? Again, I totally get that in many industries. Now, you have to realize that in Canada, minimum wage is a certain amount. It's well over, $10 across the country. And I realize that in American cities or in some states that that's not the case. Here we are. Thank you, Bon. Okay, I'm going to go through Uber Eats as I'm talking here. And so I get that there are service workers who are making literally $2 an hour. But again, that's more something that you need to be talking with your legislators about that. And again, the argument could be made then they get a better paying job then, right? If the minimum wage for service workers or whatever it is were in your state, that's on you though. You've agreed to it. So don't get mad because you didn't get very many tips last night. If that's no different than somebody who works on commission. You could have a really, really good day because you sold a lot of stuff, and then you can have a day where you did nothing, and that's the risk that you take. I remember having that discussion with my brother here. Priority on an order, which would be 20 to 25, priority is 20 to 35 minutes, would be an extra $2.99, but standard delivery is 25 to 40 minutes. So even then, I'm paying $2.99. That window of between 25 and 35, so there's that 10-minute window where you basically could be the exact same thing. And so the priority, 20 to 35 minutes, or standard 25 to 40 minutes. You want an extra $3 out of me, and it says faster in a green circle. No. And if I were to go through with it now, watch, I'm going to end up being distracted and end up hitting it. I'm going to actually place the order. Taxes and other fees. So the service fee, 10% of subtotal, $2 minimum, $4 maximum. You're adding on. I don't want to, I'm going to close it. I'm going to end up ordering something and it's just going to screw me up. But anyway, it goes back to what I was saying. Like your $10 order suddenly now becomes $23, $25. And I am notorious for just going, I will spend a good, 10, 20 minutes trying to figure out which restaurant, who's got a deal on something, whatever. And then as soon as I get to the end, it's about the price for me. And don't get me wrong. I am somebody who has a lot of money, but at the same time, I'm not doing it. Just, it's out of principle as well. I don't want it that badly. I really don't. And that's going to just turn me off from the service, from the rest. If the service fee from the app and the delivery fee from the restaurant and the price from the restaurant, it just makes me go and say, sorry. And that's where the restaurant industry goes and says, exactly, then come in and dine with us directly. Don't order from apps. So I see it from all angles. I see that restaurants absolutely want to be on these apps because they're missing out on a lot of traffic if they're not. But then I also see them going and saying, look, we're having to share our profits, or, this app takes a cut or whatever it is. And so I get it there too. And then with the tipping thing, well, but then if I go to the restaurant, now I've got to tip a server $8 for ignoring me most of the time. And I'm not doing it. I'm just not. So everybody just seems to be wanting to get more and more and more out of you, but we're getting less and less and less as customers. Do you see it that way? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer. Save the money, save the hassles, and get the better blue pill. Dial 800-578-0179. That's 800-578-0179. 800-578-0179.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, and your back. Oh my God, your back. They're constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore, am I right? Well, here is something you haven't tried. Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is not available in any drugstore. The only way to get it is by calling today. We're so confident that it will work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase, no prescription needed, and best of all, each purchase comes with a money-back guarantee. Call now to find out how you can get Pain Absolve and get rid of your pain. Call 800-319-0582. That's 800-319-0582. 800-319-0582. Call today. 800-319-0582.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here on the Scribble. I realize that last segment maybe just made me seem like a cheapskate curmudgeon would be the best term, but now I'm talking to the older folks on this one. Not that I feel like, anybody in their teens or early 20s listens to me, just because I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm 41 now, I feel like my opinions are better suited for people my own age. I have no interest with the radio shows that I hosted many years ago. You're on a top 40 station or whatever it is. You've got to appeal to that younger audience that's listening to that music. And so for me, that was also part of the reason that I checked out. I was like, I've got no interest in like half of these like rappers that are like Little Scooby or whatever the hell their names are. I don't care to know who they are. I don't care to know what they look like. I don't care to talk to them on red carpets. I don't want to interview them. I'm not going to listen to their music. I'm just, and so for me, I kind of laugh and go, I like staying in that bubble. It's not, if that makes me look old, sound old, feel old, fine. If I could just stay in like the 90s or early 2000s in my teenage years and early 20s, I would do that. Truly, if I could just have, and I, even with my TV viewing habits, as much as I'm kind of watching documentaries and stuff now, I can do a weekend of like Three's Company reruns and Will and Grace and Married with Children and Frasier and Cheers and Seinfeld. I can do that forever. So if my home or my house or whatever could go back in time or just stay in a certain era, it would be that. It really would be. And I love it. And I would have a DVD player. I would have the same computer. I would listen to the same music from my childhood, Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys, whatever, show tunes. And I would just, because I have no interest in it. I have no interest. So, as you get older, obviously we have our aches and pains as we get older. It seemed like for me when I turned 40 that it was almost not exactly around my birthday, but certainly once I hit 40, then I started to notice aches and pains. I would, have noticeable, I would get up and I would just sort of need to push myself up, right, from the couch or whatever it is. And remember, I'm an active person. My husband is a Brazilian fitness model. He's at the gym all the time. This is certainly not a laziness thing. It's just a matter of your body, And so, I walk all the time, and even then I'll come home after walking the dogs for an hour and a half. We'll walk a couple miles or a few miles. And there's just something that when you sit down or, it's at your feet and what I'm noticing now, though, is like back in the day, I could get ready to go out in a matter of 5 minutes. I've never been the type of person who is dressing to impress. So I'm not doing my hair. I'm not, I'm not standing in the bathroom mirror, like checking that my clothes are my collar is good and I'm getting nice pants and I've got no wrinkles in my shirt. I didn't give a shit. I was going out, so if somebody was, picking me up or if I was meeting somebody somewhere, I would just be like, all right, it's literally going to take me 5 minutes. And I'm not one of those people who throws the word literally around like I don't know what it means. I know what it means. It would be actually 5 minutes for me. Not even 5 minutes to get ready. I'm not doing hair product. I'm not doing anything like that. Like, it's just And that was something too, I mean, when I met my husband, where I was like, this is the reality, is that I'm not even dressing to impress you when we get to, because it's like when people go to a job on their first day. I always laugh at people when they come into an office and they're like suit and tie or whatever, dressed fancy the first day, and they might continue the second day. They loosen up a little bit the third day, but then like by their second week, that's when you're seeing the real them. That's when they're just not trying anymore, you know? And so for me, now though, when I'm getting older, it's taking me a little bit longer to do things in the sense of getting ready to go out. Now, for some reason, I am looking at that going, all right, well, I'm going to, make sure my hair is good. And I'm married already, so it's not like I'm going out to, turn heads. That's not what it's about. But I'm just a little bit more distinguished might be the word. But then when it comes to taking time on things, the bedtime routine is taking just as long. Back when you were in your, 20s, and maybe you'd be doing the all-night parties, you'd go to bed even without brushing your teeth, right? Oh, I would never. And if I do, because, I happen to fall asleep on the couch or something the night before, which happens, right? Even then, I just feel so gross the next morning. Do you know what I mean? Right? And so for me, the bedtime routine now is, and again, there's two of us in the house, right? So, your bathroom only has so much space and sinks to be doing brushing teeth and whatever. So it's, sending out the dogs. We have a rabbit as well. You feed the rabbit. I will do, here's a shout out to Metamucil. And again, that also kind of makes you feel old, but it flushes out my system, and so I like it. So I do Metamucil. I have a nasal flush. I have Navage. Why am I doing product shout outs? I'm not getting paid for these. But I flush out my nose, and then I do my brushing my teeth and my flossing. Then I have the retainer. But it's really funny because, here, look at this. Uber Eats is popping up as still craving whatever because I opened the app just a few minutes ago. Now it's not just a matter of I'm going to stumble in the house after a night out and just go right to bed without brushing my teeth. Now, and it's not even just a matter of responsibility that, I've got to set the house alarm and things, but it's just, there's just so much to do. And then there's other people who, like my husband sometimes, depending on the season, he's, again, from Brazil, so the winter is a bit tough on his skin. That moisturize, right? You're doing your face cream, you're doing this, you're doing that. And it's an age thing. You're not doing that in your 20s. You're not doing face cream. Who cares about that? That's not part of, but for some reason, because we want our skin to be youthful, we want, whatever, we're doing that. And it takes a lot longer to get ready for bed now. Yeah, it just does. At least in my house, but I could be wrong. I want to know for you. Are you one of those people? I knew somebody who it would take her 1 hour to get ready. She's not one of those people who could just go and say, who you could just call up and go, hey, let's go grab a coffee. Hey, let's go into... Never. She would never. You could never. Because if she didn't have... Unless she already had her makeup and something on, but that was just... And I just remember thinking, ugh, I hate that. If you need 6 hours notice just to go and, just for a quick bite to eat or something, no. And it was the same thing with my husband. Again, being a fitness model who's very attractive and very concerned about what he looks like. And I remember the very first time that I don't have time to go into the entire story, but when he first came to Canada for Christmas, and he had spent 20 something hours on the plane, flying to Canada, and he wanted to just, have a shower, clean up, whatever. And I just remember saying to him, we're going to Christmas dinner with my family in less than an hour. Actually, my mom is already calling me because we're late. Where are you? What's going on? And so that was something where he was just kind of like, oh my God, can I just redo my hair? And I said, you have however many minutes, you have 6 minutes. You have 6 minutes to do this, or else, no, it's not happening. And I get that. It was also a first impression, right? You're meeting the family for the first time. And then when he was here for a while at that point, and, we're going to the mall or something, and I was like, yeah, no. You can dress up, that's fine. But again, if you have to start getting ready in the morning just to walk to, the grocery store with me, no. No. Well, I mean, hey, it's your time. Do whatever you want with it. Fine. But that's not how I am. I'm not. And I remember him saying to me when he first got a winter jacket, he came with a winter jacket, a winter-ish jacket. And he'd asked me, like, why don't you wear like a nice, winter jacket, like, or you put on nice pants, because I went in sweats or something. And I was just like, it's minus 40 in Winnipeg on a freezing, frigid day. People are not dressing to impress when it's minus 40. I'm sorry, they're not. I don't care what you read on the internet. I don't care who you ask or people are not. They're not getting all glammed up on a Sunday afternoon when it's minus 40 to go and get dog food from the store. It's not happening. It's not. Maybe that's why he insists on ordering so much, so he doesn't have to be seen with me in public. I'm going to talk to him right after this show. Charles, call me. All right. Anyway, tell me your thoughts as you get older. Is your routine taking longer? Whether that's your routine for getting ready in the morning for work. That's another thing, by the way. How early do you wake up in the morning? Now, this is obviously different if you've got kids or, you have a long commute. I get that there's going to be different responses to this, but I would wake up. You have to remember that when I worked for other people and I would have to leave the house in the morning, I would wake up at 6:15. And then sometimes I would do radio hits in the morning at 6:25, 35, and 45. But I would wake up and it would be, I'd have an hour commute to go to an office or whatever it was. And then, you start work at 8 or 8:30, whatever it is. And I just remember when I got to a point when I was running my own company and calling the shots, I just remember saying to myself, I'm not doing that anymore. And there were also times too that I would get ready in the pitch black, especially in the winter when it was dark. When you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I would get together without even turning on a light in the house. So I didn't even know, because I just didn't care. I could feel my hair and be like, okay, whatever. And I just showered, so there's not going to be anything, on my face. I'm not going to have, whatever. And I would get dressed in the dark. I would, sense my clothes, and then I would just go. And, I didn't care. And so I'm interested to know, though, just if we were to start a stopwatch, from the time that you start getting dressed, and minus the kid stuff, subtract the kid stuff, subtract like the commute time, how long are you getting ready? So from the time that whether you're making breakfast, whether you're showering, whether you're doing your hair, makeup, brushing your teeth, whatever, how long is that get ready time in the morning for you? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Back on the Scribble right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter @The Scribble Show and @thescribbleshow.com.
We've run a bit long today, so I'm going to wrap this up. Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, feel free to give me a shout anytime. Always awesome hearing from you. The email address, live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. Talk to you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter @thescribbleshow. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.
If you want some